Hello, everybody. I'm Raghav, back with Techie Talks with Raghav this week again. This week, I have Samit, who is a data analytics expert, and he's been a very good friend over the last 2 weeks, and we've been talking about many things. Rather than me introducing, why don't I have Samit introducing about himself? Hi, Samit, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you, Raghav?
Great. So, Samit, why don't you introduce about yourself to all our viewers?
Yeah, thanks. So myself, Samit, I have been in this industry like more than a decade now with the data. So I have started my career with Microsoft technologies, starting with SQL Server, SSIS, and SSRS, and all these things. And in between, I worked on front-end development and stuff like that. Now, in past few years, I have been focusing on Azure, but like everyone is talking about cloud, and we are also working on the cloud technology. So in the same data field, like what are the cloud tools we have primarily on SQL MI, PaaS services, SaaS services, and stuff like that. So Azure Data Factory, so and Azure Synapse and stuff like that. So that is what I have been doing last couple of years. Yeah, that's pretty much all.
Very good. I mean, very exciting and wonderful to hear, Samit. Obviously, ETL for many people who are watching is like extraction, transformation, load, or data integration has been a subject where everybody is interested. And nowadays, we're calling it as data engineering, right? So you
Yeah.
get data from different data sources, try to transform them, right? And SSIS is one of the tool where SSIS is, I mean, Informatica, there are many talent. I can name multiple technologies which have been in that field. And Azure Data Factory is one of the
Booming one, we can say.
building one. So as you said, you worked on Azure platform. So what is really Azure Data Factory? What is ADF by the acronym it goes? What is ADF?
Uh, ADF is nothing but Azure Data Factory. So if I say that, I think most of the people think, okay, is it a replacement for SSIS? In some part, we can say yes. I think the people who are thinking about Azure Data Factory might definitely know that what SSIS is. SSIS is a Microsoft data integration tool. With that is introduced in 2005, where like they only have a DTS where you can do some commands and stuff like that to data import export. So the same way, right? In case of Azure Data Factory, Azure has introduced in 2010, and Azure Data Factory, their first version was introduced in 2015, where it was nowhere around SSIS. Like if you think it is a replacement, there are no option. It's just like a data import thing. But when they have released their second version after exactly 2 years later in 2017, where they had everything, like their, I believe the goal of Microsoft was like, okay, if you have something in SSIS, we still have option to run that without changing the code. They have integration runtime. And if you think like you wanted to rebuild it, we still have that option. So I believe like why ADF is here, we are moving into cloud. So it is necessary, if I am giving you a data platform, it is necessary that you should have an option to integrate that. So rather than if you are planning to use SSIS as a tool, definitely you have to have a virtual machine setup. So that definitely, there is no reason of a cloud if you are going to use a virtual machine, right? So this PaaS platform, ADF actually gives you to do the data integration.
I think it makes sense. So you're saying SSIS or any other tools, definitely there might be something cloud coming up on that side too. Different way how we should look at it, right?
Yeah.
The way we should look at it is we have cloud going on everywhere, right? With this cloud platform going on everywhere, we have Azure out there, and Azure Data Factory is that technology which helps you take data from one place to another, doing all the transformation. And as the cloud keeps growing, your data factory keeps growing, right? So are these components or everything within Azure Data Factory very similar to other tools like SSIS Informatica, or it looks completely different? It's a big learning. How are the components looking like?
That way, right? The first point which I wanted to say is like, even though it is a purpose behind Microsoft was to replace, there is two things. One is ETL and the other one is ELT, extract transformation load. That is what we were doing with SSIS. But Azure Data Factory is extract, load, and transform. So the main goal Azure is targeting with ADF is like bringing the data. So I can say like 90 plus connectors, like whatever these different, like even from Amazon S3 and stuff like that, right? We have connector in Azure Data Factory to do that. And if you see, compare the tools, right? SSIS still stand out from the number, because this is just a 4-year-old baby and the other one is like 15, 20 years, right?
Correct.
So that difference is there. And if you think of migrating, definitely you are going to run into issues, no doubt. But there will be solutions. Like they have similar to Scriptas. The people who worked on SSIS might know about Scriptas. We have similar thing called custom activity, but they also still have challenges. Like they are in the initial stage, right? So I believe that is the main reason they have introduced this integration runtime, where you can use your SSIS and deploy it in an MSDB, and Azure Data Factory will help you to run it. So technically, you don't need to rebuild the code. So whatever you have there, you will still be able to use it in cloud without a virtual machine.
I think very nicely said, Samit. So I have, while you were talking, then I was getting a different kind of a question, right? So when you say SSIS is, people will run into issues even if they have to move. So one is the cloud platform, why they move, right? Then do you think there is some other factors also, like SSIS cannot process a lot of data or any event processing specific data, or does Azure on cloud process a lot of data, or it's nothing like that, or it's a cloud, primarily a cloud platform?
It is there, right? So I think I was mainly talking about the migration or the comparison.
Correct.
Right? But if you see it in a different way, like what is the primary power or the part of Azure Data Factory, right? Azure Data Factory is, now we know, right? Like how data is growing. So it actually built for a big data, I can say. And when you talk about SSIS, right? I don't think like SSI can literally deal with the NoSQL that much, because their primary was relational databases. But when we talk about Azure Data Factory, you can take anything literally. Like when I said that number 90 plus, right? It's 100 connectors. Like you don't even have 100 relational databases. So they have, and the another main thing is like SSIS is for batch processing. Like you have a set of data somewhere, you can run that once and get it. And you can still be able to do some kind of coding to make it stream processing, like where you be getting data in every minute and stuff like that. But not as a feature. But in case of Azure Data Factory, Azure Data Factory can do that by itself. Like you can enable this triggering and stuff like that. So whenever the file comes in your blob storage or wherever your storage is, it trigger by itself and do it everything for you. So there are comparison on mainly starting with this triggering and the file size, and definitely the cloud is something, right? You don't need a machine, you don't need anything. Like you have a browser, then you can develop it. So that's
so you are saying I really understand the fact and power of Azure right now also, because being in cloud, you're saying there are multiple connectors. B, it's more an advanced version of the existing integration tools, right? C, it is seamless. It goes to one storage level to the other storage level, and transformation is seamless, and it is handling big data stories also very nicely. So probably that can be like 1 or 3 highlights of the Azure.
And to add to that, like if you ask me, right, like okay, when should I use Azure Data Factory? that could be the next question everyone should think of. So if you are someone who is doing everything in on-premises, then there is no point of like purchasing an Azure Data Factory and using it. But if you are in Azure, definitely ADF is your integration tool. Like if you are planning to use the features of cloud, right? I have seen organizations, they just do like move this virtual machine into Azure and like running it. So that is not actually what cloud is made for. Cloud is there for using their platform services, software services and stuff like that, where you can scale it by yourself and like manage it in a very different way and advanced features and stuff like that, right? So if you are planning to do that way, like using SQL Managed Instance or Azure SQL DB, and integrate that with an ETL tool, so definitely like Azure Data Factory is your part.
Okay. Makes sense. So don't just migrate your existing machinery, but try to use the feature set within a cloud will make you more uh,
Yeah.
meaningful
So
and valuable for if you're using Azure Data Factory is the point.
yeah, if you are in Azure, definitely right. Like if you are using a Microsoft product, like you use it. Like it is in case of like any organization. If you see, like if
Yeah.
I have a database, I have an ETL. Like all organization has that. So when Microsoft moved in the cloud, they actually thought about it, and they are taking the same. But I think eventually, definitely when they think this complete cloud migration, right? I think SQL 2022 is here. So they are definitely targeting that everything moving to the cloud soon. And probably, I believe like at some point, definitely SSIS will be replaced with Azure Data Factory.
Let's see. I mean, that's a very exciting observation what you're trying to make. Now, for different kinds of viewers, right? I have a question like, how easy is it to learn Azure Data Factory? The one use case is definitely people who are already working on SSIS or something like that. They want to move into ADF. And it can be students also, if you can suggest. Otherwise, these are the primary two use cases how I see the world, experienced versus students. So how easy is it to learn ADF? Where can they learn? Do you know what should they learn? How can they approach this learning methodology?
So if you are someone with some ETL background, right? It is not that complicated. I would say the first thing is like I understand the terminology. Like it is not the same way how you develop stuff in SSIS. There is something different. So you should be like understanding okay how these terms are, how this is matching with your previous ETL experience. Okay, if you have connection there, you may have link server, so stuff like that. So understand that and try building the basic things. And Microsoft providing you like 1 month of free cloud account with just having a Hotmail or Microsoft account where you can create that, make use of it. And Microsoft had a ton of documents to be very open, right? So I would personally recommend that to be used, and you will definitely able to get an insight to it.
So it makes sense. So you're saying the 1 month free community license what Azure gives,
Yeah.
that really helps people. And on Google and YouTube, do you see a lot of content on Azure Data Factory, or it's
Uh,
coming up because it's pretty new, right?
right, if you see right, one thing which it is not on Azure, but on this entire industry, what I have noted is like maybe last 3 to 4 years, things have definitely changed. Like previously, like content was very less. Like it is very difficult for us to get Google and get some technical questions answered. But now, if you see, like I think there are more YouTube channels than people around us. So you can definitely get contents. But again, it might be lengthy and stuff. I think YouTube channels are there, and even if this discussion, right, we are having, we have that high level idea where you can go back and definitely search for those content, and that is one way of tackling. And the other way, there are training materials YouTube channel where they are giving this and they're training for a couple of hours to get these things done.
Yeah, I mean that is actually very good, right? I mean, somebody needs before they go into a tutorial, somebody wants to know what is ADF, right? In that kind of discussion, this discussion really helps what we are trying to do. Hey, ADF is an ETL tool or an ELT tool, how you corrected me, and it's on primarily on cloud. So if your company is already on cloud, or if you want to move on cloud, and if you have ETL or data transformation or data integration experience, ADF can be that technology where you can learn.
Yeah.
So
So
that's how
just
we summarize it.
right.
Sorry?
Yeah. So just to add, there is like these are the same questions which I had when I was stepping into this cloud, right? Okay, will this replace? Okay, how do I learn that, and where should I find it? So all these things, I think this is something people will definitely think through when we think about any new technology, for that matter.
Correct. Correct. I mean, that's how they should think. And on the learning aspect, you said there are definitely there's a lot of content. There are two types of contents. One is the discussion contents, what we're trying to do. and if the people relate with discussions. So one advantage what I see here is, as you said, there are some tutorial videos on YouTube, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for some good tutorials and probably talk to you offline and see if there are some good tutorial videos, and I'm going to put it in the description for our viewers, right? So at the end of the day, our goal is everybody needs to learn, and this discussion probably triggers in the direction of learning the ADF ecosystem. And probably if there are already tutorials out there, rather than spending and more main intention is to get them started somewhere. So let's find some good tutorials. I'll run it through you, and if you feel they are good enough, I'll add it to the description, right? And before I go to the final question, viewers, if you think there are any specific questions you want to learn ADF, or do you think you want to talk to Samit and identify what are the specific areas in ETL, I can definitely work with Samit and get questions answered. I've seen all other videos, what we are doing are getting good likes and good subscriber base, how we are increasing based on the content, what we are delivering. Please suggest us if you want any specific content, and please do like and subscribe our channel. With all that, Samit, last questions I want to say, what are your next learning goals, and what are your hobbies? Let's start with, what are your hobbies? What do you want to do?
So on hobbies, right? I play badminton. That is pretty much something which I.
So you're playing badminton is your primary hobby, and what are your next learning goals?
Next learning now we have if you see, right, our discussion have been talking about the Microsoft technologies or stuff. So I have been exploring on the basics, basically on AWS, like what is happening on the same, right? It is parallel to Azure. So we should be knowing, okay, what is happening there, what is the comparison. So I have been attending a couple of trainings on that and trying to understand what is there in AWS, and like what is the difference, and why, and open source. Definitely, right? That is the next thing where people are stepping into. I think AWS promote that more than Microsoft. So that is one area which I am looking into, and definitely like expanding the knowledge on Azure. That is also in progress, like Synapse Analytics and stuff like that.
Absolutely. All the best for your learning journey and learning goals. I would suggest everybody should have their own learning goals. Friends, we have to make sure whatever we do one extra learning, 10-minute learning a day changes your life. And so try to learn as much as possible. And thanks a lot, Samit. Wishing you best in your AWS and open source learning journey. Until next time, thanks again for joining. See you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.